I started today in a previous video talking about the fact that the Republican National Convention floor is just littered with morons who are putting bandages on their ears in a show of solidarity with the dear cult leader. And it is garnering Donald Trump a lot of traction. The media is going with it. His cult is jumping on board with it. And this story is tied in. Because I read this headline today, and it's been out there, that they're asking all kinds of questions, the media, about the specific injury that Donald Trump has undergone, and they're not talking about it. And the reason I believe, here's the thesis, here's the spoiler, the reason I believe, I think it's self-evident, the reason they're not giving the press any information, any details about the extent of Donald Trump's injuries is because there aren't any. He's described it to RFK Jr. on the phone as a mosquito bite. Eric Trump is talking about it as a flesh wound, no stitches necessary. This is not a life-threatening injury. It's just not. And if they come out and say that, if they allow a doctor, a physician to come out and say what they've seen, what they've treated, then the sympathy just kind of melts away. It evaporates into the ether. And so is this moment, this 15 minutes of sympathy, misguided sympathy for Donald Trump, just goes away. And he wants to milk it for all it's worth. Here's a headline from PBS. Trump's campaign has given no official information about his medical care following assassination attempt. 4 days after a gunman's attempt to assassinate former President Donald Trump at a Pennsylvania rally, the public is still in the dark over the extent of his injuries, what treatment the Republican presidential nominee received in the hospital, and whether there may be any long-term effects on his health. Now, the reason this is important is because we want transparency. Joe Biden is now sick with COVID. We need to know that. We need to know exactly what the health condition is, or health conditions are, of our political leaders. You forfeit certain privacy rights when you become this level of leader. If you're a city councilman, whatever. But when you're president of the United States of America, we need to know what your health conditions are. We need to know. It is a requirement that we know. We don't want, like I've talked about, another Woodrow Wilson situation where a president is in a coma and you got Jill Biden or Melania Trump running the show. We didn't elect those people. Trump's campaign has refused to discuss his condition, release a medical report or records, or make the doctors who treated him available, leaving information to dribble out from Trump, his friends, and family, which invariably will be lies. And in this case, if they're saying it's just a flesh wound, which I'm going to get to Eric Trump saying, you know that it's really nothing. The first word on Trump's condition came about half an hour after shots rang out, and Trump dropped to the ground after reaching for his ear and then pumped his fist defiantly to the crowd with blood streaming down his face. Thanks, PBS. Thanks for that. The campaign issued a statement saying he was fine and being checked out at a local medical facility. More details will follow, his spokesperson said. It wasn't until 8:42 p.m., however, that Trump told the public he had been struck by a bullet as opposed to shrapnel or debris. In a post on his social media network, Trump wrote that he was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of his right ear. Pierced the upper part of his right ear. Not grazed, pierced. To pierce means pierce. I wouldn't expect Donald Trump to know the ins and outs of what word definitions are, so it's probably just him being a dum-dum. But they want to put the most serious spin on this that they can. There's no way his ear was pierced if he required no stitches, again, which we're going to get to. Presidents and major party candidates have long had to balance their right to doctor-patient confidentiality with the public's expectations that they demonstrate they are healthy enough to serve, particularly when questions arise about their readiness. Trump, for example, has long pressured President Joe Biden to take a cognitive test as the Democrat faces doubts after his stumbling performance in last month's debate. You see what I'm talking about, the media? They immediately start talking about Trump's defiant fist raise right after being shot. And then Joe Biden, he needs to take a cognitive test because of the debate. Do you see the framing here? It's a problem. After a would-be assassin shot and gravely wounded President Ronald Reagan in 1981, the Washington, D.C. hospital where he was treated gave regular, detailed public updates about his condition and treatment. Trump has appeared at the Republican National Convention in the last 3 days with a bandage over his right ear, but there has been no further word since Saturday from Trump's campaign or other officials on his condition or treatment. Again, I think it's pretty self-evident why. He wants the sympathy train to continue, the attention train to continue. He wants it to be about, look at me, the strong man who faced down an assassin's bullet and came out on the other side. Now, this is a CBS headline that we get a little bit more details from Eric Trump, and I think Ronnie Jackson I included in here too. Donald Trump doesn't have stitches after assassination attempt, but a nice flesh wound, Eric Trump says. Former President Donald Trump's son, Eric Trump, said his father doesn't have stitches after he was shot in an assassination attempt at a rally in Pennsylvania over the weekend, but that he has a nice flesh wound from the shooting. Speaking to CBS Mornings co-host Tony DeCopiel, I don't know that guy, from the convention in Milwaukee Wednesday morning, Eric Trump said his father has referred to his injuries as the greatest earache he's ever had. Sounds super serious. You know, he was millimeters away from having his life expunged. I'm sure the ear doesn't feel well, Eric Trump said. And here we go. Rep. Ronnie Jackson, who was Donald Trump's White House doctor, the White House doctor who said Donald Trump was like 209 pounds. The morbidly obese clod was 209 pounds, the doctor says. The same doctor who said Donald Trump might live to be 200 years old because his genes are so good. You know, a real reputable guy. The guy who ran a pill mill out of the White House, handing out narcotics and opiates like candy. This guy. This is what he had to say. Rep. Ronnie Jackson, who was Donald Trump's White House doctor, told the New York Times that, quote, the bullet took a little bit off the top of his ear in an area that, just by nature, bleeds like crazy. Spoken like a true medical professional, a doctor, a physician. It bleeds like crazy, y'all. Look, this is why Donald Trump wants to maintain, he wants to stay the course on the sympathy train. And if they let him know, if they actually show the wound or photos of it, we'll know that it's a nick. It's probably not even touched by the bullet, but by the vapor trail, the disruption of air near the ear. It's all in service to propaganda, which you should be noticing by now already, since Donald Trump's been on the scene for 8 years. And everything is optics with these people. I'm going to announce this, but you got to wait because of the ratings. Oh, my crowd size. Oh, this is what it is. It's a cult. Anyway, what do you think? Please have a conversation in the comments. That'll trigger YouTube to share this content with new people. That would be fantastic. You can also leave me a voicemail, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me, as always, daily@dollemore.com. Please consider supporting the work, helping me make this content. You can become a channel member by clicking the join button below. You can also go over to patreon.com/IDoubtIt podcast. I love and appreciate you very much. Glad to have these conversations with you. I'll see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another.